with us today as speakers Swami Suparnananda Maharajji. As we were just saying that we are so fortunate to have sort of great speakers, people with extraordinary wisdom. They have been so generous with their time. They have been coming to this confluence. And whenever they are invited, they have so kindly accepted the invitation to come. And Swami Suparnananda Maharajji, Secretary of the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, is one of them. We have had the privilege of hearing him so many times. Swamiji's teachings draw from the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and in his students, he's able to generate a sense of purpose so that they can bring equal amounts of humanity and divinity in their future professions. So we are indeed very grateful for his presence here today. May I also call upon Sri Shekhar Dutt. Shekhar Dutt is a retired Indian civil servant who served as the governor of the state of Chhattisgarh. And earlier, as an IAS, he had held many important bureaucratic positions, including secretary in the Ministry of Defense of the Government of India. He also had a short service commission in the Indian Army, and he was awarded the Sena Medal for gallantry while serving with the 218th Medium Regiment during the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971. So we are very, very grateful indeed to have Sri Shekhar Dutt with us today. His Excellency Juan Antonio Mas Puyol, he had graduated in law from the University of Barcelona in 1981, and he had entered his diplomatic career in 1987. Right now, His Excellency is the Ambassador of Spain to India. We are very grateful indeed for his presence here today. And we have all the speakers, and Dr. H.P. Kanoria, of course, is here with us today. Without him, of course, the sessions would have no significance whatsoever. So I think we are ready to start the sessions. May I request Sri Sunil Kanoria ji for... Right now, Sri Sunil Kanoria ji and Dr. H.P. Kanoria would be presenting the flower tokens together. Thank you so much. And may I now call upon Sri Sunil Kanoria ji for the welcome address.
Very good morning, friends. To this 15th World Confluence of Humanity, Power and Spirituality, which my father had initiated in, I think, 2006-07. We missed a couple of years during the COVID time. But the objective of this and our learnings, which Father has taught us right from our childhood, was to look within. The teachings of the various scriptures, he taught us, he read us all the scriptures of all religions, whether it is the Bible, whether it is the Gita, Mahabharata, Ramayana, the Upanishads, the Quran, from all the teachings, to basically open our own self to see where the world is and how to live a fruitful life during this journey which God has given us. Friends, basically, therefore, this has really touched us in my personal life. And if we share, I'd like to just share my experience, and especially on the topic today, which is science and spirituality. If we really look at, and it's my version, my understanding, I'm not a scientist, so therefore I may be wrong in my assumptions, but basically what I have observed and I have felt is everything, if you look at, is about energy. We have the sun, the vibrations come in the cosmic environment. Even science has proved that vibrations create a word, a sound called Om, which we all are familiar of. And from there that energy comes in. And everything is about energy. So if you look at our own self, that the way I see it is that we are just nothing but a bowl of energy. Just like a hard disk in a computer, we are that energy bowl, which is there, which never gets destroyed. It just continues. It changes bodies, it changes life forms, and we live it. So whatever you put in that energy, the way we use that energy is all up to us. How do we do that? What do we put in there? Just like in the hard disk, we put in our thoughts, we put in our actions. Similarly here, in our soul, our spirit, our so-called energy bowl, we put in whatever we do. And therefore, if we connect ourselves in the humanity, understand the thought process of everyone, take that cosmic energy from the world, from the cosmic environment, through our meditation, through our consciousness, which is what the various speakers yesterday shared their experiences. Even today, we'll have a lot of them who will share their experiences to enlighten us further, create an awareness from us, within us, because that's the first thing which is required. Once we create that awareness within our own self, then we are able to act upon it and move forward. If I look at how science and spirituality, as I said, energy is one part. But other today, in the current environment, if we look at more simply, is we talk about AI and artificial intelligence. What is it? Again, what are we looking at? And it's all about the human beings, because what we have inside is what it comes out. Therefore, whatever our knowledge is of collectively is coming into that intelligence, coming into that database which is getting created. It consumes a huge amount of computing power. So what is that? Again, it consumes a lot of energy through which it creates that database. And from there, you are able to filter and take out whatever you require, and then it just becomes extension of a kind of a human mind without the consciousness. But as yesterday one of the speakers was saying, that evolution will happen at some point of time. The consciousness will reach to that level, that because our energies are so strong, and if we're able to concentrate on that, it can create that consciousness also at some point of time in the future. And that is what the awareness of these can help us to transform our lives. If we understand how these energies work, why is it required? Why is it required to know science? Why is it required to understand spirituality, understand our own self? It's only to help us to live better, understand our own thought process much better. And that is where I think we need to look at. We have a lot of speakers today who will share their perspectives. We have Swami Supranandji Maharaj from the Ramakrishna Mission with his teachings of Swami Ramakrishna. We will learn his thoughts today on spirituality and science. We have Mr. Shekhar Dutt, former governor of Chhattisgarh, with us, with his experience, varied experience in his life, with the army, with the government, as a governor, his experiences of how science and spirituality can help transform nations and transform our own self. We have very interesting Mr. His Excellency Juan Antonio March Pujol. I met him just a few months back, and very interestingly, during a discussion, he shared a book which he has written, and he will talk a lot more on that, called Momentum. And I've been reading that, and that also talks about how the vision illuminates the path to a unified world and the dawn of one humanity. How we need to think differently to transform the world. That is what he has shared. And that really interested me a lot. Because if we talk about our Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we talk about our humanity, all that is related to what he has shared his thoughts in the book. And therefore, I requested him to share his experiences today in this program, and I'm really thankful to him to have extended this, and at the year end, come over to Calcutta and spend the day today with us. Thank you very much, friends. I'm sure we'll have a great day today with so many illuminated speakers, and we hope you all enjoy it. And if you're able to take even a few thoughts from what we learned today, it will make a big difference in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shri Sunil Kanoria ji, for so clearly mapping what the discussion is going to be in this particular session, and giving us a very clear route of ideation. Thank you so much. And now that the session is firmly in place with the welcome address, can we start it off with a little ceremony of lighting the lamp? May I request Dr. H.P. Kanoria, Shri Sunil Kanoria, to escort our other distinguished guests in the lighting of the lamp. Thank you so much. As we invite the guests back to their seats, may I... Right. Thank you. May I now invite Swami Suparnanandaji Maharaj for his address. This will be followed by a book launch. But first, the address by Swami Suparnananda Maharaj.
My very favorite person, respected H.P. Kanoria, Dr. H.P. Kanoria, other speakers on the dais, Dr. Kanoria's family present over here, and the distinguished guests, among whom there are speakers also, and I know they are all very much intelligent people, and I will give you some ideas on humanity and spirituality, and you have to explain according to your own level of understanding of the truth. behind this universe. You may not wholeheartedly accept what we can say, but you have to ponder over very seriously and sincerely. You see, this topic is fixed over the years, but it is the speakers who are changing. And the same speaker, when he speaks for the second time or next time, he would speak differently, because we do not cling to our age-old or old ideas totally. I see here also the compare, my favorite person, doing the same job over the years, and we feel elated to see her even. I congratulate her also. Now you see, humanity and spirituality, the idea behind them could be, say, boiled down. It boils down to this: say, man or God. Usually we mean that way. Man or God. It is not and. Man and God, not that. That is a choice. You have to choose one and reject the other. And that has been actually been doing by the world people. One group of people will be busy with man, criticizing those, the rest, who have very soft heart towards spiritual attainment, who have developed love for God. And there is no way to say left to them to come together. So it is eternal problem for us. One group criticizing the other. So those who stick to spirituality or God, their feeling is this, that we are all individuals with some individual traits. We have to preserve these individual traits and characteristics by all means. Because we have attained these feats with much care. For example, I leave aside your body, especially the mental acumen, the mental achievements that you have. So in the area of thought, in the area of art, music, this and that. For a man, for those who support, the man alone is to be served, is to be taken care of. For them, so these moral values or aesthetic values or intellectual values, these have no concern for them. Leave aside all this. They are suffering, and our goal is to mitigate their sufferings. By all means, fair or foul, we do not look. If it means that those who have much, they could be assassinated or murdered and be looted, everything that they have, that would sanction their level of understanding and conscience. That's what we have seen, God or humanity. So they support capitalism and they want to live in democracy. And they say, no, it is your democracy. In order to maintain your personal features, you create havoc. Everything you like to own for yourself. Then those who support God, those who support humanity, serving humanity, they are very much concerned with the well-being of people. So their approach is that we have to join our collective efforts by relinquishing or sacrificing all your individual traits. So it's a conflict between capitalism and socialism. Mind that. Democracy and anarchy. Anarchy means ruling by a few. We have seen, the world has seen the debacle, havoc created by them, those who are the followers of. We are the followers of humanity only. Now, how to make a bridge between the two? Individual traits are to be kept intact, and at the same time, the humanity has to be served. Man has to be served. Man has to be given proper attention. And Swamiji has given us a beautiful example. So this choice between man and God could be bridged, could be easily overcome, the problem involved there, if you look upon man as God. So is it for looking upon only? Is it an assumption or an intellectual conviction that you have to equate man with God? Now when Sri Ramakrishna Dev taught the disciples, young disciples of his at Kashipur Uddanbati, when he was terminally ill, that you have to serve people, looking upon them as the veritable manifestations of the divine. In his beautiful words, Shivogyane Jiva Seva, Daya Noy, not showing kindness. It is an inferior approach, kindness, showing kindness. So you have to serve jivas, looking upon them as Shivas. Knowing them to be the Shivas only and nothing else. Is it an assumption, imagination, or an intellectual conviction? No. It is our own experience. Everybody's experience is that. So you analyze your existence on earth at three different levels. Very simple. In the waking state, when you are wide awake, Jagrat Avastha, we are conscious of your body. We are conscious of our bodies only. Very clear. And when we see our body, Swamiji says, and Vivekananda says, when we see our body, we do not see our mind. Because in the waking state, we are not conscious of the existence of mind. We engage our bodies in serving so many duties in the world, in society. That's all. It is a fact. So if you ask a boy, have you seen your mind? He would say, never. Do you feel that there is a mind in you? Well, no. If I ask an old man, he would also reply in the same way. And I know you all too would reply that way. The truth is that you can separate your mind from your body. That's why Swamiji says, when you see your mind, you do not see your body. Usually you do not see your body. How? When you go to sleep, and when the sleep becomes lighter and lighter, you start dreaming. In dream, you see the world of fantasy. You create a new world in your own mind, coming out of your body, which is lying on the bedstead. But you are not conscious of that. Moving about, creating a new world and enjoying it, suffering it. So, would you accept dream is as real as your existence in the waking state? It is up to you to come to a definite answer. I won't say anything. Everybody dreams. And when dreaming hundreds of dreams, we remember only one or two. Mind that intellect was associated with them. When intellect comes into the play while dreaming, we remember all those dreams as though they are very, very true. Sometimes after getting up from our sleep, from our dream, we see we are panting for breath. Why? We are afraid of some of the dreams. And which one is truer? Which one? The things you see in dream are all false. Mind that your mind is subtler, the finer than your body. All your unfulfilled desires, you are unconscious of yourself, you are fulfilling in dream. Dreams are not unreal. It is your existence in mind, which is higher than your existence in your body. So you cannot laugh away. The dreams are all false. Right? But I say, usually we do not see mind. We usually when dreaming, do not see our body. Existence of body, we are forgetful about that totally. Is it so? So here say hardly 100 listeners. I would humbly request all of you to say whether any one of you while dreaming has dreamt such a dream where you can see your own body dead, lying on the bedstead. You can see so many things in dream. Have you ever seen your own body while dreaming, lying dead, and your relations are wailing, sitting around that body? Not even that, but have you ever seen your own body? In 1,000, there may be one. Yes, it could be seen. And that is the best of all dreams. Because in dream you feel that you have a body, you are not the body. And if you can re-enter your body, you are alive. If you cannot, you are dead. That's why when people die, we say, he has given up his body. He has left his body. Say, Shorir Rakha koreche. We say that. Say, Deho Rakha koreche. Se chole geche. He has gone, keeping behind his body. And when dreaming, this is a test. In between the stark reality in the waking state and the actual reality in the deep sleep state, we do see nothing. We do feel nothing, because that is a state beyond body and beyond mind. Beyond body and beyond mind. So when we see our spirit, from which comes spirituality, divinity or purity, We have lost purity, divinity. We have to regain it while living in body, in the waking state itself. That is the whole story. It boils down to that. Okay? In deep sleep, we are one with our own spirit or consciousness. We all feel that. We all feel that. And this is our real nature. This is the truth in all of us. And as consciousness, we are all one. It has got no plurality. Consciousness is not plural. So, in sleep, we transcend all the dualities, multiplicities, so to say. We are all one. Humanity is one. Those who sleep, even the snakes and animals, even the plants, trees, in sleep, the realization, level of realization is the same, consciousness. So that is our real nature. And when we can touch our real nature for 5 to 6 hours a day, we are all safe and sound, doing so much of work in the waking state. If you cannot sleep for 5 days in a row, you would go mad. You would go mad. You have to be with your own real nature, real self, consciousness or spirit for 4 to 5 hours in a day. So, when you sleep, you are one with your own divine nature, consciousness. Sunilda was speaking about consciousness. This is the most acceptable explanation. And we are Shivas. In fact, we are Shivas. That we are all Shivas, in essence. There is no debate on that. That's why Swamiji says, following Sri Ramakrishna's dictate, you have to serve the jivas as Shiva. Shiva Jnane Jivo Seva. That you are present in him or her, in everybody. You have no right to criticize others. You have no right to exploit others. So Swamiji says that 2 things. You have to serve them and you have to sacrifice your privileges and serve them. It is a long topic. There are so many privileges we enjoy. Even a boy or a girl having no riches, no education, might have strong physical body. With the physical body, with the physical strength, they can serve those who are weak. If you have riches, either from your own earnings, or if you have inherited a good fortune, you have to give up in the service of you present in everybody else. You have to, what should I say? Spiritualize everything. Spiritualize the secular, or socialize the absolute, the truth, the spirit. Yes, both are one and the same. But people may understand it disparagingly and may not like the one. Reject that one and accept one. Let them do that. That is socialization of the absolute or spiritualization of the secular. Yes, I am in favor of socialization of the absolute. The absolute the spirit itself in us, in me. Yes, I have to take sufficient care to get to that level. Get to that level. How? Automatically we go in sleep. In sleep we can go there, but by serving others, looking upon others as your own self. They are all Jivatman, they are all Shivas. We are serving the Shivas. So you spend a lot when you feel hungry, but when your neighbor, when your maid servant even is suffering for want of food for the family, she didn't collect money, enough income to maintain her family. You have no way to see her deplorable condition. When you are suffering from some diseases, you spend lavishly on your treatment. When your people, when your neighbors, they are suffering, you remain unconcerned. Even your maidservants appeal to you for some money for the treatment of her husband or sons or daughters. You just come with just a politician. She needs 10,000, you give only 500 rupees. Your own children are not doing very well in exams, but your maidservants' children may be doing better than what your children are doing. You won't spend anything even when they request you. We have become very much selfish. So unselfishness is divine. That is it. So Swamiji asks us, get ready. You have no right in the name of spiritual hankerings, spiritual life, you become selfish. So that spirit, the absolute, it has to be socialized. The society has a rightful claim on that. Socialization of the absolute. It may amount to say even that you have to spiritualize your everyday life. It's the same thing. So either or, God or man. Nowadays, we have no right to make any difference between God and man. God has come down as human beings. First of all, this much. But you have to extend beyond. You have to cover even animal world. Even the scientists, they have proved the unity in matter. Matter does not stay in its final state of existence. It goes beyond space, akasha. Where does it go? It goes beyond akasha, but it enters your prana. You are experimenting in the laboratory. You cannot just repudiate your existence there. It is your prana. So when prana, it is mind, it becomes your intellect. So purify your occupation. Last point. I will conclude with that. You have to purify your occupation. Lord Buddha also said, Sammak ajib. Ajib means jivika, livelihood. Purify your occupation. Then you are blessed with pure mind. You do not earn anything, appropriate anything illegally. You are earned by the sweat of your brows, and you spend in a very judicious way, looking upon everybody as your own. So this makes your mind pure. And in pure mind, if you think anything, it becomes pure. Your intellect becomes pure. So from work, you have pure mind, mon, suddha mano. Suddha karma brings about suddha mano brings about suddha buddhi, pure intellect. And not dushta buddhi, not wicked intellect. And suddha mano and suddha atma, they are one and the same. This is the connection. All power is in consciousness, in spirit. Spirit is not caused by anything, it is uncaused. It comes upon us, it reveals itself when buddhi is pure. It is not a product of anything else. Sunilda was saying that it is a product. No, not that. Our scripture does not say that. It is not a product. Consciousness is self-revealing. You have to reveal. It reveals itself when buddhi is purified. So that is a total resolve. God or man. So you have to serve. That is seva yoga. You unite your higher existence of life through service. Suddha work, Suddha mon, Suddha buddhi, Suddha atma, Suddha spirit. A very simple thing. We have made it very complicated. With these few observations, that's why I, in the beginning, told you that you have to understand it. I may speak out that you have to understand it according to your level of understanding. How much value you are going to give your, dream state, and how most value you are going to give to your deep sleep state, susupti avastha. Oh, we are just sleeping casually. No, it is not a casual thing. With this observation, I choose to stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We thank Swami Suparnananda Maharaj, and we would take this opportunity of inviting Sri Anup Gupta onto the dais. His book, Leadership Through Service and Unity, would be formally released today. The formal release of the book, Leadership Through Service and Unity, written by Sri Anup Gupta, formally released by the distinguished personalities on the dais. Since Swami Suparnananda Maharaj Ji has to leave at this point, may I request the felicitation to be done at this point for Swamiji. May I request Dr. H.P. Kanoria to do the honors for Swami Suparnananda Ji Maharaj. For the rest, we would do it at the end of the session. Thank you so much. And we would now recommence the addresses. May I request Sri Shekhar Dutt for his address.
Swami Suparnananda Maharaj, Sri H.P. Kanoria, Sri Sunil Kanoria, Excellency the Ambassador, all dignitaries sitting in front. This is a subject where we heard very fine explanations by Swamiji just now, and before that from Sri Sunil Kanoria, and who stressed the link between energy and the purpose why mankind is here. In fact, the entire galaxies, of which a very small portion is the solar world, entire galaxies were formed out of concentrated energy. And finally, this was proved that if you compress and concentrate energy, you can create matter. In fact, I have a deep relationship with energy. Right now, I am doing some work for sustainable power development organizations, because the purpose of us in the world being here, being a part of the world, is that there has to be brought in a change from the status quo. We can't stay forever in the status quo, in limbo. Because the moment we say that we have arrived and we have got nothing else to do, we are dead. The purpose of life is to move on. And this gives us the opportunity to change. And when we change, we call ourselves change for the better. Because the purpose of life again is to create a world which is better tomorrow than today. And today is better than yesterday. I have been in the armed forces, and I have also seen the armed forces from a very top end when I was Defense Secretary and before that. But right in the beginning, the armed forces were deployed to fight. And what does the officer do? The officer leads the man towards a situation where either the officer might die, or the man might die, or both might die. How does an officer say that you do this and the result is that you will be dead? This whole conversation is not done through words, but it is done through action. And action makes everything very easy. What is the purpose of a soldier? A purpose of a soldier is to justify that he is a soldier and he is responsible for the work which has been entrusted to him. So in that process, he might leave this world very happy. And like what Swamiji was saying, if you perceive a situation when you are here and you can see yourself fallen and leaving, and the soul leaves the body, are you proud of the situation that you did whatever you had to do? Or do you feel that you were inadequate? The purpose is that everybody should work towards a situation when he must achieve the adequacy that he has met the purpose, why he was here, why he was born, why he was given this yoni of serving the humankind. And I think that's a very, very important factor which will leave a difference in the world because of your presence. Because you were there, you brought in this difference. Whether you are a scientist, my father was a scientist, and he kept on. His motto was that you keep on studying, you keep on learning. Because the whole process of why we are here is because we have a mind and we have to keep on learning. And when you learn, you distribute your knowledge for the welfare of the mankind, for the betterment of the earth. You don't have to start giving a lecture. Your action becomes the whole demonstration of your ability to be a teacher. So the teacher is definitely a person who is involved in taking the world forward, a teacher. So like this, the person who leads the soldier to the battle, maybe to the death of the soldier or death of himself or herself, is with a purpose, and he meets that purpose by doing that, and his action shows that he has reached his goal. So the whole purpose of person being here is that he has, or maybe his ancestors, maybe their ancestors have been assembled here because of a concentrated dose of energy, and he, having done his work, goes back into being a distributor of energy. So, one thing is sure, that there is no end for the energy. It keeps on moving, it keeps on, imagine a scene when we are out of this solar system and we go into the other galaxies. Can you ever think that there is an end? And if you think that there is an end of those space, what is beyond that? There is nothing. You cannot imagine what is beyond this space of one galaxy, two galaxies, and the end of the galaxies. So the only thing is that it is an energy, and energy is the truth, and truth is where we are all headed to. Satyameva jayate. We have to reach the truth, and this is the search, the anusandhan towards the Satya is the purpose of our life. And in that purpose, we cannot leave anything unexplored. We have to keep on exploring, finding, and when you find a part, the truth which you think that is the end, it is not. It's only a part, so you move on. And this action creates a joy. The moment you feel that you have achieved, you have done something, you feel a joy. And this is the feeling, this is the reward that we attain because of our work. You feel joyous having achieved certain things which you think has been a successful end of the endeavor. So I say that the purpose of a society is that the society does everything to find joy, and it also creates joy for others. So the society in all makes the humankind go forward. Our society in this part of the world is called Oriental society. And the Oriental society or the Oriental culture is unique and is world renowned for its hoary traditions, which has been evolved and developed by the Oriental people throughout the centuries. Oriental heritage is as splendid and magnificent as the Himalayas. Our ancient heritage is so large and varied and immense that it is almost impossible to contain and list its splendors and achievements. So we belong to a culture. And I say that culture is our identity. Without the culture, there is no identity. So we are individuals, we are human beings. We cannot be a describable being. There has to be a finiteness in us. And this is our identity. A culture is our identity, and the culture is the purpose on which we move around, and we are sure that we leave a mark that we are here, we are there, we have been here. One of the best indicators of development is that have you left any mark that this is the kind of work that you have done. This is the kind of work which will make you being remembered by people. And the remembrance by the people may not be from the people whom you know. There are countless people whom you don't know, and they all remember. And that is what I think is the purpose why we are here. What are we doing by our work? Advertently or inadvertently, have we changed the mankind or the way that they are living? Have we changed the society or its purpose into a better society for tomorrow? And if we have done, we have the satisfaction. And we move on. We leave this world, we go into another world, we keep on moving on. And that, my friends, is a story which has to be continuously uncovered. But one thing is sure, that we will, and our Atma will keep on moving on. And the energy will keep on getting formed, transformed, and getting used for the betterment of this world. Thank you very much. I congratulate Sri Kanoria ji for assembling this discussion group, and also I thank his Mr. Sunil Kanoria, Mr. Hemant Kanoria, and all people with great single-mindedness. They are doing this. We wish this organization all success, and this debate or this discussion to keep on analyzing why we are here and going towards the Satya, going towards the truth, and finding the truth and making people who are engaged in finding the truth feel the joy in doing this work. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. May we now request His Excellency Juan Antonio Mas Puyol for his address.
Well, thank you very much for being invited to be with you in this very interesting forum. I want to thank you, Mr. Hari Kanoria, for having created this important foundation, and Sunil Kanoria for having invited me to be here for the first time. I met him just 2 months ago when Spain decided with India to create the 2026 as the dual year of Spain and India. And we were talking on how things can be moved for the future, how were politics. And then he mentioned to me the existence of this foundation. And I said to him, I like really very much this constant thinking on the future of the humanity, because I wrote a book called Momentum that is just, let's say, a thorough thinking on how things are changing and where we should go. And then he said to me, how this is about? And I say, well, you know, I think it has two important legs. One is to open the eyes to the new generation of how the world will evolve in the future years. And the second, to say that all this evolution is absolutely weak and fragile if we don't build a new framework for humanity. And then he said to me, maybe you can come and you can talk us a little bit more on that. I said, well, this is quite complex. Maybe I can give some ideas, and then maybe it can be some debate. And he said, well, that's perfect, because in this forum, people can put questions, can ask to develop some ideas. So please come and set a few ideas on this, on Momentum, and maybe people can react on that. So my purpose today is a little bit to give some main ideas of how I see the world of the future and how it is going to be very important for the new generation to drive us inside a better world. As the title of my book, it says Momentum, but the title says also on the threshold of the new world. So it's not the dawn of the new world. It's not the new world is arriving independently of what we are going to do. The important thing is we have to step inside. We have to make the positive move towards that. And the book was written at the end of the pandemic because I thought that there could be a new era of the humanity in the sense that we would be very united to go towards a new world, and a full transformation of our values we will arrive. Well, this has been for me a very big deception, maybe for a short time. Why a big deception? Because the pandemic showed the whole humanity that all this division between different countries, different interests, different origins was very irrelevant vis-a-vis of the risk in health. So all countries were locked down. It doesn't matter if it was Ghana, it was China, India, Russia, United States, Spain, Ireland, all were in different periods locked down. So I thought, you know, once we survive to that, I think the first priority of humanity will be the investment in health. Why? Because the destiny has shown to you that environment is very important. Maybe catastrophe will be in 50 years, 100 years, you don't know. Wars are terrible, but it takes some time to organize a war and to have a big conflict. But health is so fragile that can disappear in 24 hours. So destiny has shown to the humanity that it has to be very much better protected to preserve health. So I thought myself, well, you know, we have great institutes of research, we have great scientists, so the priority will be the investment of health. What has happened? The world has decided to go to a great increase in weapons. We have multiplied the budget of many nations by 2. So Germany has gone from 1% of the general national product in weapons to 2% in only 5 years, has decided, whereas the increase in health has only been 5%, 2%, 3%. So it has been very deceiving. And the new generation has to say to the leaders, we don't want weapons, we want innovation in health. But having said that, the point was, okay, the second point will be the value of innovation. And obviously on this we are really progressing. Why? Because, you know, the whole story of humanity has been how it has been accelerated in the, let's say, in the capacity of being more and more intelligent. We just survived 190,000 years ago to be a species that was not destroyed, being much weaker than very powerful animals, and since then we have been accelerating. Imagine what has been all the discoveries in the last 100 years. In 1900, there were nearly no cars in the planet. Today there are 2.5 billion cars moving at the same time. In 1900, there were only 2 million people in the universities in the world. Today there are more than 350 million people in the universities in the world. So in only 120 years, the change has been impressive. But what I say in this book is that all areas are going to change enormously in the 5-10 next years through the entry of artificial intelligence. Obviously, it's a very important debate of what are the moral limits of the use of artificial intelligence, how it will be regulated, but the main thing to consider is that it is coming and it will transform all areas of our world. It will transform, obviously, communication. You know, we have created mobiles that can connect someone in the forest of Brazil with someone in Iceland, but the big problem is that if they have not a common language, they cannot communicate. The idea was originally to have one language that would allow humans to communicate. But now, thanks to technology, we're going to a superior movement, that you will be able to speak in any language and the person will be to understand you in the local language. So this will preserve you this great variety of language that is really a jewel of humanity. Why? Because the human beings, we have invented many different worlds for many similar situations, but with a kind of intelligence depending on the intensity of the object. For example, the Russians, they have 20 words for the word snow, because there is so much snow that they have a word for the snow is blue, the form is melting, the snow is hard, the snow is full of minerals, whereas we don't have so much snow and we have only one word that is snow. In the moment that we preserve all the local languages, all this big heritage of humanity is preserved. So this will be one great innovation. Obviously, the second great innovation will be mobility. You know, in 1900, we have nearly no cars. In 1855, there were 0 cars. But thanks to this great revolution, it has been a transformation in the mobility of humanity. But obviously, the future is aerial mobility. You will like or not, because obviously it's much nicer to see to the sky and to see it empty than to see millions of objects flying all the time. But this will arrive in nothing, in 10, 15 years. So all this big effort we have created of terrestrial mobility will be quite obsolete. The same that it was absolutely obsolete, all the infrastructure that we had for horses and carriages in 1900, and it all blew up with the arrival of the car. But this will transform all the urbanism and all the settings of the humanity in the world. We are at present occupying only 6% of the human surface. So it means that 94% is totally empty. Why is totally empty? Because It's difficult to place a house in the middle of the desert, to place a house in the middle of a mountain. You have to build a road to arrive, etc. This whole concept will change absolutely in the moment that humanity will have the aerial mobility. So urbanism will change, communication between the people will change, and obviously it will change many other areas like health, like finance, like communication. All this is a new world that changed. People say, well, but this artificial intelligence will destroy many jobs. It will be the end of humanity in labor. I say my vision is not like that. On the contrary, we're in a world that in 1975 we were 4 billion people. In 2024 we are 8 billion people. We have been able to create jobs and employment for nearly the double of the population in only 40 years. It has been very impressive. But why? Because all is connected with the new activities that appear. The human beings, every time that they build a machine, they build thousands of services connected to these machines. So when the people were having a textile manufacturer in Manchester, for example, beginning of 1900, there were 3,000 workers there. But what were these people doing? They were just moving the hands onwards and backwards, manipulating a very simple machine. Well, it's ridiculous to have the capacity of a human being just to use the arms onwards and backwards with a great intellectual capacity. So once we invented the machine, immediately was invented a new capacity of production, it was invented a new capacity of design, a new capacity of reaching outer markets, etc. So we will see that the huge employment will grow, will not diminish. But obviously, it will be very tiring for humanity. Why? Because this constant effort of adapting is really a very tiring, constant effort. But we have to know that this is connected with the change of humanity. Why? Because the important thing that will discover the future is that each individual, as it has been said by previous speakers, is the key element of humanity. We are not the same. Everyone is different. Everyone has a different capacity. And the problem is that at the beginning we have had to form the people to be with certain minimum capacities. But now that we are approaching a new era where people can read, can write, can communicate, and we have the hardware to communicate all people with all people, it's a new moment for a new education that will focus on identifying the capacity of each individual. Because then humanity will be very powerful when you will have 8 billion people with the individual unique capacity that having them as a kind of group of people supporting just certain ideals. And it comes connected with the second element of this gathering today, power. Power is a very important element in the life of humanity. We have been always with confrontations between groups from the very beginning of our existence. The point now is to know how we are going to use power for the future. I was very interested in the idea of Steve Hopkins, the grand scientist, who was asked once, what is the purpose of humanity in the world? And he said, well, you know, my feeling is that humanity is going to be the pollinizers of intelligence in the universe. One of the factors of that. So the key thing is that now that we are approaching a new era, the real era of the intelligence, we have to say, well, how we are going to organize our future. Are we going to continue fighting inside the planet and destroying? Or are we going to be able to create a one humanity and to prepare how this humanity sends the legacy to the universe? Because we have two methods to go out in the outer space. We can go to the outer space just escaping, like it was nearly like that founded Australia a long time ago, people escaping and creating a new nations and saying, well, we're going to have a new future. Or are we going to be able to create a great new order in this planet? And then we are going to export an intelligent way of organizing groups in the universe. This is the key issue for the future. We have to think that at present the nations are similar to the connection of the water with the oceans and the rivers. The important thing about water in the world are the oceans. There are 98% of the waters. But obviously the waters, when it falls in the planet, is collected by the rivers to go in an orderly way to the oceans. Well, this is more or less the same thing with the humanity and the nations. We have started from very elemental group, tribes, then we have gone to villages, then we have gone to cities, then to nations, then to confederations, and then the thing is that the nations are extremely useful instruments to organize big societies to go towards a new aim that is the ocean, that is the humanity. And then we have to see that all these rivers are like the physical rivers, transit elements. So we cannot think that they're important elements of humanity. The important elements of humanity is the humanity itself. So the key thing is how we move from tensions from nations to building the new world that is the world of the one humanity. I always said that we are in a moment that we could do that. Why? Because we see a nation like the United States that was able to create this framework. You know, United States created a constitution in 1787 with only 3 million people in a small part of the country and with a very, let's say, homogeneous group of people. Then suddenly, with the same constitution, the country has expanded from 3 million to 330 million, from a small part of the territory to a territory that goes from the Atlantic to the Pacific, from one very homogeneous group of countries to a very diverse group of people, from a very elemental economy, agriculture, has gone to industrial, to services. So with only one constitution has been able to create how it works. Or, for example, India, the largest democracy in the world, is able to have a global framework for 1.4 billion people. So why are not we going to be able to create a one humanity world from the 8 billion people? I think the key thing is the strength of the new population and the spiritual power. As the subject of this conference says clearly, it's humanity, power, and spirituality. So I think that the new generation has to be the driving force to say to the politicians, to the leaders, you have a unique position, but the unique position is not to feel my country powerful. The real important position is to use this power to make humanity progress. And I think that India, with all this long tradition of spirituality, of preserving different values, having many different cultures melting together, has to be a very driving force in this world of the 21st century to create this new tendency for harmony, for jointly efforts to make each individual the essential energy of intelligence, power in the world, and to having a new world to be built among all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, His Excellency. We are going into a question-answer session, an interactive session. And we would be inviting questions from the audience. We have two panel members with us. Suparnanandaji Maharaj is not here, but the other two would be very happy to take your questions, I'm sure. Any questions? We'll just pass the microphone around. Anyone from the audience? Can we have the microphone, please? Dr. Prasoon Mishra.
Yeah, I really liked His Excellency, your opinion on, advocating for, healthcare actually, and not the weapons and wars actually. And I think this is a need, and we just survived the whole catastrophe of COVID, and I think the clock is ticking. So my question to you would be, how would we as a community, spread that word in our countries, in our nations, in our states actually, so just elaborate on those, and so love your thoughts on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your very accurate question. Well, the key thing is the driving force of the people. When India became independent, didn't become independent through a very fierce fight. It became independent through the force of the peace movement in the country. So, in my opinion, we have not taken this pandemic seriously enough, in the sense that what has been bothered has been to be locked down. So as immediately we have been not locked down, everybody has said, oh, we're going to recover the lost time. So we're going to go out as much as possible, to travel again. Nothing has happened. In my view, it has been a terrible mistake. Why? Because it has been a key element of our destiny to show us two things. One, that it doesn't matter the country, the origin, or are the same vulnerable, let's say, beings. By being human, you are common. It doesn't matter if you are in Ghana, in Australia, in India, in China, in the United States. So this has been evident. So it should be part of the new political thought, one thing. And the second is that the capacity we have in health nowadays is impressive. But it impressed me very much as citizen how under such important moments many countries accepted to have the one who was managing the crisis, the health crisis, let's say the minister at that moment, that was nothing to be connected with health. So nowadays we ask that the one who is the minister of the economy has to be someone who knows a lot about economy. But we had such a big pandemic, and if you saw the list of countries and who was the responsible people, maybe only 20% were experts in health. And nobody protested against that. So I think that the new generation, because this is not something of 2, 5, 4 years. The new generation has to say, we want our money spent in researching health. We don't want to have our money spent in weapons. It has to be a new movement in the new generation saying, we want to have the maximum of this planet. And the maximum of this planet is connected with 2 dimensions. One is to have peace, obviously, and the second is to have health. So we don't go in the other direction, that someone feeds our ego, saying, oh, we are stronger than our neighbor, and one, destroying the planet, and second, to miss the opportunity to be much powerful in health. So I think that it's all in the hands of the young people, I think.
Thank you so much. Is that it? Right.
Good morning to all. And my question goes to His Excellency Shekhar. As former Defense Secretary, in your experience, how does spirituality play a big role in critical decisions like, conflict between India and another state. What sort of, in that play of decision making, how do you play the spirituality? How do you apply it? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's working.
This question is quite far-reaching because we are assuming conflicts. Actually, when nations live together, there are bound to be areas where there is disagreement and there is going to be areas in which there will be agreement. And one of the most important part the leadership plays is to continuously see the areas where there is an agreement, where my wish, your wish, their wish coincide and we move forward. And this kind of a thing is very necessary, especially in today's world, because the resources which the world has to use are requiring replenishment and also are getting scarce. So we have to use the resources in a very scientific and pluralistic manner so that nobody complains that the resources are not being used. And resources like Swamiji addressed, water, river. River takes the water from one place to another place, feeds the community, and then finally enters into an ocean or a sea. And water is a resource of the world. We have to see similar resources of the world or are properly used. And for all this, when there will be usages which will be done selfishly, I use more than you, there will be areas of conflict or there will be signs of conflict. So we have to have dialogue. Dialogue is an essential ingredient where we find out the viewpoints of the others, we find out the viewpoint of others who are not concerned, and we move to a common plan of action, and the dialogue keeps the humanity moving forward.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Mr. Dant, you mentioned about effectiveness of dialogue in the current situation. How do you motivate the leaders who happen to rule the various countries, including India, instead of resorting to war and physical violence, use the mechanism of dialogue, which is a sense of democracy? And to you, sir, one question. How do you deal with the what we call war industry or defense industry? Because in order to survive, the amount of influence they have on the civil society in various countries, the amount of money which they can spend, they are responsible for creating situations in which the nations fight, the communities fight. How do you deal with the defense industry or the war industry, which is so important and effective?
Mr. Dutt, would you take the question first?
Okay, let me talk about defense industry and talk about the people who are engaged in defense. You see, again, right in the beginning I had said that a soldier works according to what the plan of action of his organization. So in that plan, suppose he loses his life, it's fine, it's good, he feels that he has achieved the purpose of why he was being there. Now, similarly, one of the most important areas where the soldier has worked on and the soldiery, art of soldiery has moved on, is that you do your work. Karmadeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You feel that you have done your work and you are satisfied. But after having achieved this thing, then you move on in another sphere. So today's enemy might become tomorrow's friends. And one should be able to meet all those situations. Now, if you see a very live example, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, USA bombed with atom bomb, and huge numbers of people of Japan died and were maimed for life, and and their relatives are bearing the loss even now. But after the war, USA and Japan became friends. And the Japanese have the best of the relations with the US. Similarly, Vietnam. USA and Vietnam fought, and there was a huge loss of life in Vietnam. But finally, after Vietnam defeated the USA, the war was over, and South Vietnam integrated with North Vietnam. And Ho Chi Minh defeated, but USA became friends with Vietnam. So what I'm saying is that the world of tomorrow is a world which is progress from today. And the best of the people are able to make the most of tomorrow and work on. The world has to be a world of acceptance, a realism, and not of amorphism and moving into areas where there is no reality. So one thing is quite clear, that tomorrow we know that there is a huge difficulty in resources. So the resources have to be shared, the resources have to be conserved, the resources have to be developed. And the world will move on ahead, and therefore, this climate change and all that. I was there in the COP21 which was held in Paris in 2015. But the work defined by the COP21 has to progress. And we have to actually see that the environment doesn't get dissipated or degenerated into a situation when there is no fresh air. And if that happens, everybody will be in peril. So we have to see that there is fresh air and enough oxygen, enough life, giving bounties, and we have to see that the world is worth living. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Would the ambassador like to add something? The mic.
Well, the question that was addressed to me was the importance of the defense industry in the economy of the world, more or less. Well, I would say two things. First, about arms. It is a dimension that has always been with us, the possibility of protecting against conflict. So the evolution of the humanity has to go to preserve the research in weapons to protect us against an outer attack. We don't know who is living in this universe and how things will evolve in the future. So I think that at a certain point we have to have a common capacity to protect ourselves in case of attack from the outer space. So the idea would be not to destroy the military capacity, but to destroy this capacity in the destruction of our people in the planet. So the key thing would be to have a very important and modern and innovative capacity of protection of the planet. So this would not be the end, but it would be the reorientation of that. The second, about the importance of defense industry, well, obviously, we have to say that when the products that have created the defense industry are used, the destruction is enormous, and we go very backwards in development. The wealthiest country in Europe is Switzerland, that is a country that has not gone into any war in the last 500 years. Those who were the great powers, like Germany or France, France under Napoleon, Germany with this horrible idea of Hitler to be superior race in the world, and Britain with the capacity to organize very well other territories and to take advantage of that, are much less developed than Switzerland. So all those who have gone into wars, they have not achieved the standard of living for the people that those who have gone for peace. So I think that we have to think that peace is a great element, war is a destruction, and the other thing to consider is that we forget very easily the horrors of war. There is a fantastic passage in the great novel of Marcel Proust that is called, in French, is À la recherche du temps perdu. In English would be trying to get the lost time, but it's the great work of Marcel Proust, where in a chapter, he writes about how the young generation, the French young generation and the young German generation were enthusiastic to go to war because there had been no war in the last 40 years. So they were eager and enthusiastic to go to war. What was the problem? That once they were in war, 1 year later, in the terrible front, in this war that was full of toxic gas, of horrible conditions, all were praying to end the war. So we have not to forget that. We have to understand that the future of humanity is connected to innovation and peace. And we have to escape to all those who try to play a game to feed the ego of the social groups. It doesn't matter if the social groups of in the East, on the West, we have to say, the important thing is the capacity of each individual. My life in this planet will be 40, 60, 100 years, and I want to take advantage of that, and I want to be part of the better world of the future, not to ego of a nation or a group. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll have to end this session with the closing remarks. May I request Mrs. Shruti Kanoria to please come onto the stage and make the closing remarks.
Namaste and a very good morning to our esteemed guests and respected dignitaries on stage. Swami Suprananda Maharaji, who had to leave, Mr. Shekhar Dutt, His Excellency Juan Antonio Marsh Puol. It is an honor to be part of the 15th World Confluence of Humanity, Power and Spirituality, conceived and so meticulously organized by my grandfather. There is a Sanskrit shlok that I would like to share. Vidya dadati vinayam, vinayat yati pratatam, patratav dhanan apnoti dhanad, dharmam tata sukham. It means knowledge makes one humble, humility begets worthiness, worthiness creates wealth and enrichment, and right conduct brings contentment. Being part of the education sphere, I have the privilege of sharing some insight on the topic that touches the essence of human development, the interconnectedness of science, spirituality, and education. These three pillars, though distinct, are deeply linked in shaping individuals and societies. Science seeks to understand the physical world through inquiry, evidence, and innovation. Spirituality, on the other hand, delves into the inner world, our values, purpose, and connection with something greater than ourselves. Education serves as the bridge between the two, fostering curiosity for discovering while nurturing wisdom and character. When science and spirituality are integrated through education, we unlock the full potential of human growth. For instance, science teaches us how to harness energy to power our lives. Spirituality reminds us to do so responsibly, with mindfulness for the environment and compassion for future generations. Together, they ensure progress that is sustainable and meaningful. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speakers who have enlightened us with their wisdom and insights. Swamiji touched on the topic of having wisdom to understand spirituality to its full potential. Mr. Shekharji spoke about how energy has the secret to awakening our inner joy. His Excellency, Mr. Juan, threw light on how humanity is the call for the hour. Thank you for your invaluable contributions and for sharing your knowledge and experiences with us. Together, we have embarked on a journey that transcends the boundaries of science and spirituality, fostering a greater understanding of the human spirit and the universe we inhabit. Your insights have sparked new ideas and opened new pathways for integrating these disciplines in ways that benefit humanity. With gratitude and hope, I look forward to the continued exploration of these profound themes in years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. May we now take this opportunity of felicitating the two panelists who are here with us today. May I request Dr. H.P. Kanoria, Sri Sunil Kanoria, and Shruti to participate in the felicitation. His Excellency Juan Antonio Mas Puyol. And Sri Shekhar Dutt. Thank you so much. Can we have a photograph of everyone?